Welcome back to Aaron's Tech Corner and my Model 3 2021 model here. Going to talk a little bit about rear fill today. This project's been going on obviously for a long time. I haven't really worked on it a lot since a lot of life changes. So what I'm going to do today is finally put some rear fill into this Model 3 here, and use my Helix DSP to configure it as kind of a differential rear fill. So today, right now, I'm using rear audio from the rear doors, but I really don't want door audio. I want to move the rear stage back to here so I can use some of the DSP surround effects for better processing. So basically, if you have a SR Plus from this model year, you don't have any speakers in the back at all. In fact, you don't even have any cutouts. What you can see is I pulled this whole rear deck assembly, and I've already popped these grills out, which they're pretty easy to take out. But you first have to do is flip this over, and then this thick polyurethane foam is really glued on here, so you gotta really kind of just rip it off, and then you've got this area exposed that you can pop the grill tabs up and out. So what we're going to end up having to do to make this all fit is we're going to have to cut a circle out of this polyurethane foam, because the magnet's going to have to go down in here, and the other models that don't have speakers, or do have speakers, sorry, don't have this. So what we also have to do is kind of mark where the factory speaker goes. And what I'm going to use for rear fill is I have these AudioFrog GS25s, and I've had these for a while. These were actually what I was originally using as my front stage in this car, and I upgraded to GB25s, which I actually like the sound of better, and it just complements things better. And then these will actually make great rear fill. These are wideband speakers, so they cover the full frequency range pretty much. They don't look like much because they're tiny, but they do sound amazing. So we're going to use them as rear, and then I've got my adapters plates that I printed up as I did with the other projects, and we can kind of get the speaker in here one-handed, maybe. Yeah, there we go. So that should fit in there. And then what I'm about to do is figure out how to actually mount this in here, since this is where the factory speakers go. Well, luckily for me, I've got this template basically already printed up, so it actually fits perfectly in these little kind of grooves. So we can now just mark these with like a Sharpie and drill some holes here and cut this circle out. So I'm going to do that and come on back. All right, the drilling started. So what I basically did was I got 3 holes here already drilled. I'm going to do this on the other side too. And how I'm doing this, actually, you can see I've Sharpied out, kind of marked it, but that's still a little bit loose for me. I want it to be a little bit more accurate. So what I'm actually doing is I'm sticking like a 2x4 underneath here to brace it, and then what I do is just hold this bracket in place, and then I'm just taking my drill, and then I will just drill right down into that, and makes perfectly aligned holes. So I will do that, cut these up, and away we go. Okay, first hole is cut. You can see I just did a kind of a rough cut there. Unfortunately, I didn't have any hole saws that were the right size. It should be about a 2.5-inch hole, and I didn't have any. So I just used a razor blade, because honestly this stuff is so super thin. So then what I did was, you flip it over after you're done. You can see a little bit of red in here because I've got a bracket back there, and that's what I'm going to show you. So then what you have to do is, on this side you can see there's all this foam. Well, that foam unfortunately has to go in that area, so we kind of cut out shape roughly of what the factory speaker bracket would be. You can see there's those little holes that I drilled, so we want to expose those. And these 3D printed brackets, I'm going to need 4 of these total. 2 for the top to hold the speaker in place, and 2 for the bottom to kind of brace the speaker, kind of sandwich it together. So what that will do is that one will just go like this, and then when you stick the other one through the other side, like this one's already kind of got some gasket on it, this will go on the other side, and then the bolts go through, and then you just bolt them together here at the back. I'm just going to use some metric bolts that I have laying around, so that should work. I'm going to go ahead and also get the connectors all ready to go, and the wires, because basically once I get this all together, I just don't want to go back here and mess with it again. So that is how it's going to be. But I'm going to 3D print some new ones of these in black so they don't show up too much. But yeah, we'll go from there and I'll show you the next step. Back again, and here we are with the Model 3 rear speakers installed in the 2021 SR Plus. And as you can see, I have my 3D printed brackets. I have my AudioFrog GS25s bolted in, and I have these bolted in. And basically what I've done is 3D printed actually 4 of these adapter brackets, 2 for the top, and mounted the speakers in there, used some kind of stripping foam type stuff, speaker gasketing foam, to give that a nice good seal. Also put some on the underside of there, and then on the back side, flip it around. Oh, sorry, hard to do this all one-handed. We should invest in a stand or something. So yeah, these are kind of mismatched because I already had one printed in red, so I was like, hey, I might as well just use the red one. So I used M6, so 6mm metric bolts, and they are approximately 25mm long, and just have some nuts, and then I just use some test tape on the back just so in case for some reason they touch or they ever try to spin off, they kind of just will stay put. You can see that the speaker wires are attached and they are wrapped in the Tessa tape and just kind of lightly secured here. I'm going to use a hot glue gun to finish tacking all that down so it does know where to go. And yeah, you can basically see that it's all nicely mounted. The foam has been cut out of the back, so this has a place to actually sit into that cup that's molded into the actual metal of the rear deck. And that's pretty much it. I mean, at this point, I just got to put the speaker grills back on and then use the hot glue gun to kind of just tack this all back down so it doesn't flop around. But I'll go do that and then vacuum this up and then get it all put back in the car, and we'll show you that next.